Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Mordechai. Welcome, Uncle Phil. Welcome back, Brian and Seth. Who else do we have? Seth? Okay, good enough. We don't have the Three Stooges over here. Wow. Hopefully one of them will come in the middle of the. It's gonna be today. It's gonna be one of those days. It's gonna be nice and quiet. It's gonna be schmack. Okay. Here is. Did I show you guys this picture of the? This is the new tablet that is sold out, I think.
How much is it?
You ask beautiful questions. What do you? I'm not involved in this stuff. You go online, you'll figure it out. You go to the merch place, and it's about $100, I think. It depends. It's two types, but we're not here to discuss that. Dear Reb Eli, you don't know me. I come to the shir, not even part of Zoom. I'm another one of those thousands of your students who learn things to the shirim on YouTube. I have a big thank you and a gratitude before Shavuos to you and Avi Berg, who recruited me when he advertised in our yeshuv on 2/24/23. I'm one of those people who hated learning Gemara. I have no better words to say it. But since I joined your shir, I just fell in love with your shiurim. The pleasantness, the fun, the joy, the jokes, the explanations, the pictures. It's fun to learn Torah. I had a bookmark in Masechta Shabbos, almost 20 daf before the end, when I gave up the daf in the past. In other words, he made it through brachas and almost the entire Shabbos. But since I joined, so it's just fun to study your lessons. I've been studying the daf with you since daf Lamed Gimel of Nazir, and I was able to finish Masechtas before the same. And since then, I've gone back to the beginning of Shas and finished Masechtas Shabbos, and then Eruvin, then Psachim, and more. Marathon, a fun learning until I made a scene last Shabbos on Masechtas Nedarim. Almost a year and 4 months, I was able to finish 14 Masechtas with you. Who would believe that it would be easy, fun, and learn? You hear this? Who would believe that it would be fun, it would be easy and fun to learn Eruvin or Yevamis? What really caught me was your devotion and dedication to Torah, your devotion learning Torah. Okay, Yishkoyach. Where can you find Magid Shir that gives 3-4 shiurim on Erev Chag? On the, who's here? Akiva's here, Givaldik. You still doing daf? You saved him that seat? Especially for you. As a chavrusa. Givaldik. Anyways, safari, Alps, hotel room and connection in the airport, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and you remember the time I gave a shir on the plane? That was just the first few words until the flight attendant asked me to shut up. More of a based marriage because, when you talk into you have your headphones, you don't realize everybody's sleeping next to you and you're waking them all up. That kind of thing. Anyway, so you want to say that sometimes the dedication of learning is stronger than the daf itself, because that's a lesson for life. Learning Torah and having fun is a huge innovation in learning. Who would believe that it's permissible to learn Torah and enjoy it? My children at home sometimes enjoy me. My wife sometimes doesn't understand why I laugh with an open Gemara, but it's fun. So Reb Eli, thank you very much for the privilege. I don't know how much my life has changed. I'm sure it has, but at least I know that thanks to you, there isn't a day without studying Torah. So forgive me for listening to you on YouTube at speeds of 1.5 to 2, but the main thing is learning Torah. Chag Sameach. May we receive the Torah out of love and joy. Your student, Dov Yurvitz, Neria. That's how you pronounce it? Neria. Mashu kazeh. Not Neria, Neria. Hi Reb Eli. Wow. It's time flown since the shir started. I think the biggest thing watching the shir makes me yearn for to come back to Eretz Yisrael, home, and reignite my love of Torah and maybe even a deeper love of my fellow Jew. One thing I'm thinking about as Shavuos is coming, that if learning Torah does not make you love your fellow Jew anymore, then there's something missing from it. Hoping to join a team in the near future and reignite my connection to Torah. Happy Yisrael and joy that comes with being a devoted dafer. Best, a Talmud friend, grateful Yid for all you have done and continue to do for the Klal. Hashtag keep on dafing. Rabbi Yisai, the Misach, sponsored by Anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. We have an unbelievable, beautiful daf today. The second sponsor of the month is Refuah Shelaima Neftalli Harz ben Leah, hidden tzadik in our generation. Parnas Shavua, Refuah Shelaima, Mordechai ben Esther, Rabboisai. Here we go. Very interesting question. Before you just brush this question off, what kind of halachic problem is there to pick your nose in the middle of shul? Baldashaksu. Huh? On Shabbos. Isser Tiltel, he says, on Shabbos. Isser Beirer. What are you saying? Mefarek. What are there? No? Mos. Yeah, you're grossing people out sometimes. Picking your ear. So we're going to learn a little bit about it today. There might be an halachic problem that I never knew about. There's definitely a problem with ben adam chaveroi. If it grosses people, you do something that causes other people to be grossed out, like spitting and things like that, is awesome to do in front of somebody else. So I would think also, especially Americans are more sensitive to these kind of things, or English people, whatever, not non-locals here in Eretz Yisrael. Sometimes it's more acceptable in certain societies, but we'll see there's another problem. And as I think we kind of discussed this yesterday, the idea that if you're an artist, you're a sharecropper, and the owner of the field tells you, I want you to plant A, and you plant B, is that a problem or not? So says the Mishnah, we're holding Kuv Vav Amud Beis, towards the bottom of the Mishnah. And as we learned, every Mishnah can only be speaking about one or the other. Either a sharecropper or a choicher. Choicher is someone who pays to use the field, a set amount. So this Mishnah is talking about a choicher. You made a deal with the owner that you're going to plant barley. It's also for you to plant wheat, because wheat degrades the field more than barley. Chitim, and if you are asked, or you made a deal to plant wheat, then you're permitted to plant the produce that's going to take less of a toll on the field, as long as it's going to provide the same amount of profit. So what does it say in the Mishnah? If the Mishnah can only be speaking about one of the two, speaking about a choicher, that means that a sharecropper is not in the Mishnah. And if somebody is a sharecropper and the owner of the field says, I only want you to plant barley, and you don't listen to him, you plant wheat, what does it say in the Mishnah? You have to infer. The Mishnah is only talking about a choicher, and it says, Lo Yizra'en achitim, you're not permitted. It seems like that a sharecropper, you are permitted. But why? The owner said, plant wheat. Or he said, plant barley. So how can you plant wheat? So says Rashi, we learned the other day that if you plant something else, which is less profitable but less damage to the field, so the guy says, listen, I don't want the extra, I don't want you not to damage the field, I want the money. I have a family to feed. So says Rashi, money comes first, the field comes second, and therefore you're providing him money, more money with chitim. You are taking away, you're damaging his field. He doesn't care, he wants more money, he prefers money over damage. It's a big chiddush, I think. Reb Shimon Gamliel says, no, you must listen to the owner of the field. Tvua lo yizra'en kitnus. If the deal was to plant wheat, you're not allowed to plant. Did I say chitim? Chitim yizra'en sarim. I didn't say that. If the deal was to plant, maybe I did. If the deal was to plant wheat, which takes a larger toll on the field, yizra'en sarim, then certainly you could plant something else called barley, because you're going to profit the same. It's going to take less of a toll on the field. Reb Shimon Gamliel says, no, stick to what you discussed. The deal was to plant wheat. Maybe there's some other reason behind. If the deal was to plant wheat, lo yizrein kidneys, you cannot plant beans, because beans takes more of a toll on the field than wheat. Kidneys, yizrein tfuah. If the deal was to plant the worst of the worst beans, then you're permitted to plant wheat. Once again comes along and says, also don't change the deal, even if you think it's better for the field. What could be the reason in Reb Shimon Gamliel you can't change what you discussed? It says in the pasuk, she'eris Yisrael yasu avla, v'lo yidaru kazav. They won't speak falsely. V'lo yimatze befihem l'shoin tarbes. Shouldn't find in the mouth of a Jew speech that is false. And you spoke about planting wheat. Yes, barley is better for the field, but that's what you spoke about. Stick to what you spoke about. Meisvei, we have a problem. Migbas Purim lePurim. You raise money for Purim, for the poor, for their meal. Very specific. You got up in shul, banged on the bima. Reb Eli said, we're trying to raise money for the poor. For Purim, they should have food for the meal. So the money goes for Purim. You can't give them the money for Pesach. It's for Purim. Ve'ein medaktikim b'davar. But you don't start checking to see if the poor is really poor, if he has the money, he deserves the money. Yeah, give him the money. The guy can't buy something else that's not Purim related, such as shoelaces for a shoe, unless he made a deal with the people in charge of the city. But this is what we're looking for. Reb Shimon Ben Gamliel, he's the one in our Mishnah who says that you can't change from wheat to barley, barley to wheat. Reb Shimon Ben Gamliel says, no, you are permitted to change up. You could buy what you want, you could buy shoelaces. But the guy discussed, he had a deal, we announced, we are raising money for Purim. Purim is Purim. Why are you buying shoelaces? Why are you using it for something else, for Pesach? Reb Shimon said, no, it's not a problem. What about She'eris Yisrael yasu avla yidaru because of we don't speak falsely? Abaye says the reason is like my master. Who's his master? Abaye, the acronym, the Rosh Tevus of Abaye is Asher B'cho Yerucham Yasim. Abaye was a Yasim. He was brought up by the famous Rabbah. So he says, Rabbah explained this to me. If you want to destroy your field, this is what you do. Here's a recipe for destroying your field. 1 year you plant wheat, the next year you plant barley. One year you plant it north to south, the next year you plant it east to west. You'll destroy your field. That it destroys the field if you didn't plow the field after you reaped it, and you didn't plow it once again, a second time before you planted it the next season. It's not enough to just plow the field after you reap and then go ahead and put sow it, put the seeds down. You have to basically plow the field twice. If you do that, if you do that twice, no issues. So Abaye says, in the name of Rabbah, what's the problem here in the Mishnah? The problem is that I told you what to do. The owner of the field said plant barley, plant wheat. You didn't listen. Happened right here in Israel. I hardly ever had a lot of employees. I hardly ever fired somebody. I had to fire a guy here. We had a discussion. I told him to build a wall. I thought, I want the wall over here. He says, no, it's not good to have the wall there. He starts explaining to me that you're going to have, the room will be larger if we build. I said, I like large rooms, but I need the wall over here so I could have access behind the wall. If any water penetrates, he says, it's impossible for water to penetrate. I'm doing something here. It's impossible. I'm going to do this. I said, yeah, but you always need access to the back of your wall. You can't butt it up against another property. You can't get there. So arguing, I said, listen, I built a lot of things in my life. Trust me, I need the wall over here. Okay. Come back. The wall is where he wanted it, not where I wanted it. He says, well, I'm telling you. I said, adios. That's the last time. He worked for me for a long time. No. Sure enough, the first rain, water's pouring in. Serious. I can tell you all where this is, but whatever. Not far from here. Bye-bye. The point is you have to listen to the owner. The owner knows. He said, I don't want to ruin my field. According to Rashi, ruining, look who you brought in, Akiva. He's looking for a spot, huh? Takes that. Somebody told me a trick. I don't know if I should say it. I'm going to ruin the trick for him. Yeah, he's not here, so I'll say the trick. If you guys want to find the parking spot, you just park on the other street over here. That's what he said. And you just walk down the steps instead of looking on this block. You hear that? It's not bad. Fine. According to Rashi, if you plant 1 year wheat, 1 year barley, you're ruining your field. So the guy knows what he planted the year before. He's telling you, don't plant barley. Not because of profit, not. It's going to ruin my field. According to Tosfos, it seems like there's an argument in facts. Tosfos says, no, the opposite. It's better to plant 1 year. The Gemara is saying, no, you're supposed to plant barley than wheat, north to south, east to west. Okay, but the point is the same. Just listen to the owner. He knows what he wants the following year. Says the Gemara, we learned in the Mishnah, if the deal was to plant wheat, do not plant beans. Masnile Rabbi Yehuda LeRavan. So now this name, Rabbi Yehuda says to Ravan, is going to bring us on a tangent of almost a gadata, very nice sugyas. And because we mention his name, and it's rare, that Rabbi Yehuda told Ravan, so we're going to go into other things that Rabbi Yehuda told Ravan. When he was teaching, says Rashi, very interesting, when he was teaching him this Mishnah, this exact Mishnah, let's read it. Tvua loy. The word loy means no. Loy Yizra'enu kitnas. When he taught him this Mishnah, Masni lei, he taught him this Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Ravan, Tvua Yizra'enu kitnas. Took out the word loy. It's the exact opposite meaning. Omer lei, vanant nan, Tvua loy Yizra'enu kitnas. Ravan wasn't a pushover. He's teaching me a Mishnah. Why are you telling me you could plant beans if we discussed wheat when it says specifically in the Mishnah, Lo Yizra'enu kitnas? Oh, I wanted you to ask that question. What I'm trying to tell you is, our Mishnah was written in Bavel. Bavel, Vahalu, sorry, the opposite. The opposite. In Bavel, it's not a problem to plant beans. Why? There's a lot of water, it's not an issue. The water, there's a lot of nutrients in the ground. But in Eretz Yisrael, it's a problem. The Mishnah was discussed in Eretz Yisrael where it's problematic. And basically, I'm trying to tell you that there's a difference in what country it is. Okay. Only Rabbi Yehuda LeRavan. So now we go on a tangent. Rabbi Yehuda told Ravan by Rav Nachman. Ravan Achi, here in Israel, very popular, you get into taxi. Achi, manishma Achi. Here it is, right over here. Ravan Achi, says Rashi, they're not even brothers. He called him my brother. So if you have flax and you have tachlis, I think he calls it Yoshi peppergrass or cress. The point is that something's growing between the flax. If somebody comes along to your field without permission and takes the flax, it's not stealing. Why? Because you prefer that the cress disappears. It ruins your field. However, if it's not in the field itself, it's not mixed into the field, there is a problem of gezel. If it's already there for a while, happens a few, I don't know, I'm sure it happens to everybody. In my family, something falls on the floor, right? Certain people in the family are like, pick that up quickly, it's going to get dirty. No, it's already dirty, it's on the floor. It's not going to get more dirty from being there. So says the Gemara, it's already there. It already caused the damage. It's already mature. You can already use it for seeding the field. By you taking it out, it's not going to help the owner anymore. So now you're stealing. Once the damage was caused, it's there, then you removing is not going to help anything. Another one. Rabbi Achi, my brother. You should know that we share a border between two fields, and there's trees on the border. You should know some of the trees that are mine, the fruit belong to you, and some of the trees that are yours, the fruit belong to me. And we can show you a nice drawing here. Why? Nog b'nei Mitzra, the minhag of the people on the border. Ilan hanoita lekan. Guys, you don't have to be that quiet. Thank you, Hashi. Ilan hanoita lekan lekan, vanoita lekan lekan. Ilan hanoita lekan. If the roots of a tree, we're talking, you have to stick in the word roots. It seems like just the regular Hebrew, it seems like it's leaning. But it means the roots. If the roots are in this guy's field, then all the produce goes to this guy. This was a thing that Yeshua, when he divided Eretz Yisrael to Klal Yisrael, he said, the trees go by the roots. So if the roots are to the right, then the guy on the right gets it. The roots are to the left, the guy on the left gets it. No. So let's see what we have here. We have a tree. You guys see this? Here's the tree. It's on the border. Now, the way the border would work, Rashi says, they would put a mound of dirt. Not so much a picket fence like you see over here, but it's good to see. There's a nice mound. And because it's a mound of dirt, it attracts trees. You know, it's easier for the tree to grow there. So now you have a tree on the border. So, the Itmar, Ilan ha'oimed al ha'meitzar, Omarav, hanoit lekan, lekan, hanoit lekan, lekan, u'shmuel omar cholkim. So here, look at this, look at the chart for a second. You have the tree, you have the roots. Wherever the roots go, that's where we divide it. But Shmuel says no, regardless of where the roots are, we say, Yachloiku, you divide it 50-50. We have a question on Rab who says it goes by the roots. It says mefurish that if there's a tree on the border, like in this picture, regardless of the roots, just because it's like this, without roots, you do 50-50. Tiyuf to the Rav. So Shmuel comes along. Shmuel's arguing with Rav, but Shmuel's Rav's friend, and Shmuel says, listen, my buddy who's arguing on me, he's not doing so well. Let me explain. And explain to him, that Bryson must be talking about that the roots are going in all directions on the border. And therefore, the halach is, yachloiku. Okay. So what's the chiddush? If the roots are going in both directions, then you have to split it. What's the big chiddush? Again, the reason why it goes by the roots and not by where the branches are, because the roots are what nourish. If all the nourishment comes from my field, you're getting all the nutrients from my field. The water, I'm watering the field, so it's mine.
You only judge by the roots you can see above ground?
I didn't say that. I don't know. I don't think so. You know where the roots are. You know where the root system is. You can figure it out. If you're a tree guy, which we are not, and you're a field guy, you probably figure it out. You can see it. I'm sure you don't have to dig 20 feet to see every root, but yeah, I don't know how it goes. Says the Gemara, look at this tree, look what happened over here. The tree is leaning to one side and all the fruit go to one side. So I would think that because all the fruit goes to that side and it's leaning that way, all the branches, so it should be the guy on the right. No, it goes by the root system as well, and therefore you have to divide it 50-50. And still, what's the chiddush? If it goes by the roots and where it nourishes from, so that even though the branch is not leading into his property, he should still get whatever he deserves. Says the same I would think, check this out, look at this red line. I would think that you divide it this way, and therefore the guy on the left doesn't get anything. Who told you to divide it this way? Maybe you should divide it. Rabbi say, check this out. This way. So if you divide it this way, each person gets 50-50. So therefore, everybody gets 50-50, says Rab. Where else in this Masechta do we have this concept that who told you to divide it this way, you should divide it that way? Does anybody remember? People that didn't cheat. Does anybody remember? Who says Talis? Who said Talis? Yeah, close.
Golden towers?
Very Elvis. Elvis, get over here. Seriously, come here. I want to introduce you to the oil. The oil doesn't know who Elvis is. Well, this is not made up. I did not know that he knows this. And how did you know this, Elvis? Shalom Aleichem, Elvis.
Probably the 2 shirim that I attended.
The 2 shirim that you attended? We have a good memory because this is all the way in Daf Zayin or something. Let me just show the oilam where it is. Here, this is the talis muzavis. There's a golden thing on the talis. So if you divide it down the middle this way, so the guy on the right is going to get all the gold. And Shnayim B'chzim, you divide the garment in half. So the Gemara says, who told you to divide it this way? Divide it this way. Now, I want to tell you something about Elvis. I got permission from him once, so we'll say this. Elvis, tell everybody, when did you start reading Hebrew? At what age?
23.
23 years old. And here's a guy, seriously, 23 years old, he started reading Hebrew, started learning, I don't know, what age did he start learning Gemara?
With you a year and a half ago?
That was the first time first time you started learning Gemara. Well, you didn't even know you were Jewish until 14. And then started reading Gemara. And now here he is, the only guy in this entire room that remembered Talis Mizuhevis. Givaldic. Beautiful. It's never too late to start, Rabbi Yisai, never too late. Zog the Gemara, Amalei Rav Yehuda l'Ravin, Rav Nachman, Rav Achi, another one, right? Smack in the middle of the Amud Beis, approximately. Now we're going into Ayin Hara. Ayin Hara is a huge business. I recommend going into it. It's a great business. I just started looking into it. Look at this. This came in the mail yesterday. Every day, people on the bottom. Ayin Hara. All you have to do is call up this number, give the guy $100. He'll get rid of your Ayin Hara. And they have a monthly subscription. He can do it for you every month. It's just much cheaper than $100. You get a good deal. It's like $75, $50, 36 shekels. Some guys do it. Not only that, on the machine in the back, and I'm not recommending this. The opposite. This is a picture I took from the machine in the back over here. Look at this. It's crazy. You could call up any one of these numbers. They'll get. So I called the guy up. I said, "Listen, I got a shear going on here. I need to come with a video crew, and it's only 36 shekel. 26 shekel, and he has b'mlatzat Gdolei Yisrael. The Gdolim are backing him. Sure, they do it with lead. So there's a guy in shear here. He says, I have it. I don't really believe in it, but I'll do it for you. I said, how does it work? He says, you take lead, you boil it up. I said, you boil up lead? You know that it's very toxic. And nothing ever happened to me. He's like in his 20s. Nothing. It goes into your body, it stays in your body for 20. All of a sudden something happens. Anyway, I'll do it for you. I'll cook it up in the. I said, how does it work? So basically, they take this lead. First, they take your money, and then they cook it up. And depending on the eyes, you see bubbles, and if they're large bubbles, small bubbles, and they get it out, and they say, "Oh, they can get rid of your evil eye." So I called the guy up and said, "Listen, I want to come with the camera, and I want to show how it's done." He says, "No, I only take names over the phone." It's like, how do I know what you're doing? Like, how do you know you're doing anything? You'll just tell me. Anyway, it's Bamlotz's Gdei Adar, Gdei Yisrael. Omer Rav Yehuda. So here, if you donate $100 to MDY, we will send your names into this guy. We'll pay 26 shekel each, and we'll give you back the results. Omer Rav Yehuda l'Ravin bar Rav Nachman Rav Achi. Lo ta'azben aral l'smich l'masa. Don't buy real estate that's close to the city. Why? Omer Rav Omer Rav Omer Rav. It's not allowed to stand there and look at your friend's fruit. You're going to cause him ayin hara. Beautiful fruit. Now the wheat just came up. It's beautiful. And you say, oh, look at this guy. Look at his kids. What choshev kids he has. It gives ayin hara. Eini v'ashkichinu Rabbi Abba l'talmidim the Rav. So ask the Gemara. Rabbi Abba asked one of Rav's talmidim, Amalu, my Omer Rav, could you please tell me what did Rav say once in these beautiful psukim? The famous psukim, you should be blessed when you come into the city, blessed in the field, when you come in, when you leave. This is what Rav said, you should be blessed. So the Marshal says, look, it already says that you should have all the brachas and everything, so why does the Torah continue? What else did the Torah add? That you should be next to a shul. Not like in those days that you go far into the fields, into the forest. Isn't this a contradiction? It said that Actually, when they give you the kibbut to say Zimon, you're supposed to say the Yiratzin. It says in the Yiratzin, Shinu chasecha unechaseinu smuchim ukroivim leir. It's a bracha that your parnasa, not like I have to fly all the way to America for my parnasa. Avi Kamyansky, all the way to, well, actually he has now parnasa. But sometimes you have to go far, it's not so good. The bracha is that it should be close to the city. But it says, Nechasecha, you should have real estate next to the city. What about Ayin Hara? When you come back from a long trip, you shouldn't find your wife a suffik nida. So says Rashi, and certainly a vade nida. So Rashi on the side, if you have the Kutei Rashi, there's a Rashi in Sanhedrin of Gimel Amud Aleph that says very interesting. That no, it's dafke suffik nida. Because when a person has a isser that's vadai, then he stays away from it. Like my wife made 2 meals on Shavuos. Milk, dairy, and fleishiks. Milchiks and fleishiks. And I'm like addicted to cheesecake and that kind of stuff. So I was not looking forward. I'm trying to, but I can't. Once it's there, I'm going to pound it. By mistake, seriously, by mistake, I saw Erev Shabbos a beautiful looking piece of schnitzel on the thing, and I'm like, oops. And that was it. Once you can't do, you can't eat. Finish. Shalom Yisrael. You're done. The promise is Rashi when you have a suffik need. The guy comes home. He says, "You suffik. I should be machmir now. Maybe yesh lahakel." That's the problem. When it's vadai, then it's not a problem. Like the famous song, like the famous Gemara that's and the song based on it. Ilan Ilan b'ma'av v'rechacha. It's a big bracha that your offspring should be like you. And he said, Reb Yechon had different pshat in the pasuk. Bless you that you should have a bathroom next to your table. In other words, a bathroom next to your house, says Rashi, not next to your table. In those days, imagine going out in the snow. In a winter storm, everybody has to relieve themselves. You can't relieve yourself in the house. You have to go out. Put on your coat at 3 a.m. and this, and go through the snow, go through the whole thing just to go to the bathroom. It should be next to your house. He wasn't talking about that a shul should be next to your house. Why? Because the shul is good that it should be distant from your house. There's a beautiful thing called, you get awarded for the amount of steps that you took. The harder it is to do a mitzvah, the more schar. And the Rashi brings, the almana told him, I come to your base measure to daven, I don't go to shul because it's further away. And he said, you're right. So there's a Magen Avraham that says if you have 2 shuls, one is closer, one is further away, you should go to the one that's further away because you have schar psiyas. Chaim Pelagi says, but if you're Talmid Chacham, you're going to spend that time learning Torah. It's not the same thing learning Torah on the way, learning Torah. So you shouldn't go to the further one. And I saw somebody that asks, the Rashag says, if you could be Mekayim the same mitzvah in the closer shul, why in the world would you go there's another shul? In fact, it's even a problem in other people. It's a mavir and all mitzvahs. So he says, it must be that you have 2 shuls. What the Magen Avraham is talking about, 2 shuls, the further one is better for you. You have more kavanah, there's a better rabbi there, whatever it is. So then, going to the further shul, you have more sechar.
If you have a shul, that's the one you don't go to.
Oh, everybody needs a shul that you don't go to. That's why we have the other shir, by the way. It's not even a joke, you're saying. Fine. And now, you should have 3 types of produce. Shlish b'tfuah, shlish b'zeisim, shlish b'kfanim, just in case one year the olives are not doing well, the wheat is not, so you'll have something else to eat and to be misparned. When you depart this world, it should be like when you came into this world. Don't even turn the page. We're going to be here for a good 5 minutes. When you come into this world without sin, that's how you should live without sin. There's the famous mashal. There was a fox that comes to a vineyard. He wants to get in. He sees the juicy grapes. He sees an opening. He tries to get in. He can't get in through the opening. So he figures, okay, I'll go on a diet. I'll diet for a few days. He goes on a diet, intermittent fasting, the whole thing. Sneaks through, gets in. He starts eating. eating. What happens? He starts blowing up. He tries to leave. He can't get out. So he has to diet again. When we come to this world, we come in. We're fit to come in, and then we fill ourselves up with gashmias. It's hard to leave. We can't leave. So the same way you come in, that's how you should leave. So that's Reb Yankel Galinsky. What was the fox supposed to do? What do you want him to do? You want him to eat the grapes. He says, Pashat. You hear what it is this town? He should take the grapes and throw them over the fence. Take your stuff, throw it over the fence. Rabbi Isai, take that daf and throw it over the fence. We need something for the next world, for the world to come. You can't just sit here in this world, in this little fence and fresh. You're not going to be able to when it's time to leave, they're not going to accept you. You're not going to have everything. This Gemara happens to be a very famous Gemara because you don't want to miss this. Come back in for a minute. The Rashash brings this Gemara and says, you see from this Gemara that there's no such thing as Gilgulim. It says, you come to this world without sin. What do you mean without sin? If there's something called a Gilgul means that you were here once before, there's a previous neshama. And you're coming here to fix whatever problems you didn't fix then, so you sent down again. Over here it says, it's not like that. So many Hasidim don't learn Rashash because of that statement. That one statement, some want to say, he didn't write it, maybe his son wrote it. They don't learn it. I asked the Belzer, especially Belzer Hasidim, they don't learn. I said, do you learn Rashash? He didn't want to answer me. He says, listen, anybody that reads one of these kosher newspapers could read the Rashash. I promise you, the guy that wrote the newspaper is a bigger apikoros than Rashash. That I could guarantee you. Fine. But there's a terrible story that happened in the yeshiva. There's a boy that they kept on seeing him going into the bathroom. It didn't look good. Like he came in with a bag, leave, this, that. The Mishgiach had a plan. He said, okay, next time he goes in, I'm going to wait. He goes in, I'm going to break the door open. I'm going to give him a minute, see exactly what he's doing. This guy goes in. He breaks the door and he couldn't believe his eyes. The boy was learning Rashash. Most of the Rishonim, you just got it now. Most of the Rishonim agree that there is a concept called Gilgulim besides Rav Saadia Gaon. In fact, the Vilna Gaon, and he says a beautiful thing, he says, how is a person supposed to know why he came to this world? What does he have to fix? So the Vilna Gaon says, that thing that you're most nichshal in, the thing that you have the biggest desire, the biggest taiva for, that's why you came to this world. Check it out. Okay? Now we could turn. Zok the Gemara Daf Amud Beis, sponsored by Bigger Cup Consulting and Kidnovations. Eric Adelman and Lurfuah Shelaima Lana Devorah hadassah. So we have a question. The question is, Rav on the one hand says that we're concerned for ayin hara, and all of a sudden he says, don't worry, you should buy property next to your house, next to the city. If you put up a wall in front of your produce and nobody sees, you put up a nice fence, a wall with the bushes and everything, nobody will see, so there's no ayin hara. And if not, then you can have ayin hara. You see something very interesting. People, with their evil eye, they could cause damage even to produce. So certainly they could cause damage to people. Now it does say, I told my chavrusa, he's like, I said, I don't care about ayin hara. Ayin hara doesn't, I don't believe in it. But I saw today I found Motzei Feinstein, I sent it to him, I said, Motzei Feinstein says that exactly. He says, ayin hara only works on somebody that's concerned about it. If you're not concerned, doesn't harm. Rav learns Hashem will remove all your diseases. All diseases come from an evil eye, from ayin hara. Rav the Tamei, the Rav Solik Lebekivre. Rav went to a cemetery. Ovid Maida Avad. He did what he did. Says Rashi, he was able to communicate with the dead and asked them, why did you die? Omar. 99% of the people die from ayin hara. In other words, they die before their time. Ve'echad, 1% dies b'derech הערץ from a normal death. As Tosfos, a bomb question, top Tosfos. V'im toimar, im kein b'nei Yosef. It comes out that we always say that it should be like, I come from Yosef, I don't have ayin hara. Bnei Yosef lo yishaltu b'mayim ra. Hayolem lichios harbe mikol hashvatim. They should have lived a lot longer than everybody else. The question is great. The answer I don't understand 100%. They died naturally more than everybody else. They took the 1%. The 1% they took. Hashem would give them other diseases. Okay. Zok the Gemara. Shmuel says it's the wind, it's the air. The way I understand it, it's the germs. What kills a human being? Germs. Shmuel tamei domar Shmuel hakol beruach. Everybody dies from germs. What do you mean everybody dies from germs? What about the guy that got his head chopped off? He also died from germs. Says Gemara, yes. I looked it up. They're trying to do this. They believe that one day they could do a head transplant. They just have a little problem to get the spinal cord in line. But once they figure that out, they'll be able to do a head transplant. And I saw the Svarim talk about it. What happens in the event that they're able to do a head transplant? I think in Russia they actually tried it once, at least on a cadaver. Like they tried it. So it brings big problems. What if you take the body of a young person with the head of an older person, you take a body of a guy with a Jew, a body of a woman with a man? It creates a lot of issues. What are you? You're this. Are the various yours? Your thoughts are. What's going on here? It becomes very interesting. But what it says over here, we have a video, but I thought it was a little bit no. So he says, look, the truth is, if you chop somebody's head off, you can just put it back together, put the right medicines, and it will heal. The reason why the guy died is because you exposed it to germs. Every surgery today, what's the biggest concern? They have to scrub up and put on the gloves, double layer gloves, and everything, and the mask and the this, and because a little bit of it'll kill the guy. So that's what happened. Okay, fine. I have to repeat this joke. The guy, because we have new people here. This guy was at work, and his hand was chopped off by a machine. So they put his hand in a bag, they rushed him off to the hospital, and the doctor attached his hand on it. It was great. A few weeks later, the shlemazel, his leg, same thing, rush him to the hospital, reattach it. A week later, he comes back, he's at work again, boop, his head chopped off. They take his head, throw it in a bag, they rush him to the hospital. After surgery, they go, no, were you successful? The guy says, listen, I was this close. Problem is, you idiots, you put his head in a bag. He suffocated. No. Says the Gemara. What does it mean? It's referring to colds. Why? Everything is up to you to prevent, besides colds and fever. That you can't take care of. I'm sorry, everything is b'dei shomayim. Every disease from Hashem, besides tzinam pachim, that's in your hands to control. You give yourself a cold. Shenemar, tzinam pachim b'derech ikesh, shomer nafsho yirchak mem. If you care about your own soul, you'll stay away from it. Here we have a beautiful picture to depict that. Oh, it almost went. Why is it not going? Oh, here we go. Haku b'dei shomayim. If you go to whatever, Antarctica, and you sit there out in your bathing suit and then you get a cold, you can't complain to anybody. It's your fault. You caused it yourself. I especially like the stuff coming out of his nose. And that's a prelude to the next sugya. Says the Gemara. Reb Yosef Billyack Amar Zut Soya. This is a secretion, the Omar Mar, Tzoyes HaChoitem. You see that? Tzoyes HaChoitem is, let me zoom in into the guys. You see what's coming out of his nose? That's Tzoyes HaChoitem. Why is it disgusting? It's an igloo. Why is it? It's not green. Icicle. You ever see a guy coming out of the mikvah? I saw this way on a guy coming out of the mikvah in New York. Literally icicles coming off his beard. It's a sight to be seen. So, Omar Zut Tzoya, Omar Mar, Tzoyes HaChoitem, and Tzoyes HaIzen. The secretions that come out of the nose and the ear. Ruban kasha, if it's a lot, it's bad for the body. A little bit is good for the body. The Ramah says that you shouldn't pick your nose during davening. You have to use a cloth. Seems like from the Ramah, they have to wash your hands if you don't use a cloth. Says the Vilna Gaon that he got it from this Gemara, because the Gemara here calls it tsaya. Like, what do I always call it? Waste. Human waste. And waste, you have to wash your hands. So I saw a beautiful Chazon Ish. And I want to use this on the next person I see picking his nose in shul. I said this yesterday. I don't know. Did anybody learn in the mirror? Anybody here learn in the mirror? Nobody learn here? Nobody? One of the most famous Maggid Yishurim in the mirror is not alive anymore. I learned by him a little bit. I learned by Reb Eli, but there's another famous one over there. I'm not going to say his name here because of this story. He would put his finger in his ear, middle shear, deep, and then he'd go like this. And then he would pull it out and go, pop! Every time it'd make a popping sound. And we would wait for it. Like, wait, here it comes, pop! It's unbelievable. I don't know how he did it. It was like his talent, He'd go to the bar and go, listen, guys. Anyway, so the Chazon Ish says, if a person sticks his finger into his ear, he must wash his hands. Because the halacha is, anytime you put your finger in a makam mechusa, a place that's typically hidden, you have to wash your hands. You put your hand in your shirt, you have to wash your hands. It doesn't have to be a disgusting part of the body. Any place. So Mela, inside your nose is a closed place. You have to wash your hands. I thought it's a tremendous chiddush. I want to run over to that next guy. Fine. Zog the Gemara. Here we go. Rebbe Elazar Amar Zumara. The gallbladder is what the Torah is referring to. The bile that comes out of the gallbladder causes most diseases. When the word machla, disease, Zumara. It causes disease in the whole body. Another thing. Machla, the gematria is 83. 83 different diseases that come from the bile of the gallbladder. That's 83. But Rabbi Isai, if you learn the daf is 84. Oh. V'kulon pashachres b'melach v'kitin shelmayim mevatlason. And if you eat bread in the morning, you eat breakfast, then with a little salt and some water, whoever doesn't have wine, says Rashi, whatever that means, then you won't have these diseases. When we learned it last time in Baba Kama, so I said pshat over here, and then we found it in the Goyin, and today I found it in two other Hasidic Svarim, because here's the video where my chavrusa, I'll remind you and you'll remember. So Rabbi said, this is my chavrusa right over here. You see the little laser? Over here. This is Eliyahu Jacobs, Rafal. This, by the way, is Hillel Abramson, came to learn. Abrams. The Belzer is right over here, doing Sikras to Pais, helping his Pais out. This is Eliyahu. He's gonna be in this corner 20 minutes later, right over there. And Rabbi side here goes. Anyway, to make a long story short, if I one normal place says then it's too Hasidish. Fine. The bottom line is that I was upset at my chavrus. He said it's not a good pshat. So I yelled out in the chayil. I said, whoever can find this pshat somewhere, I'll give him $100. So of course the Belzer found it. And he says, because he said, if you find it, it's going to be Hasidish. So the Belzer screams out, is the Vilna Gaon Hasidish? It's like, oh, yes. So anyway, but it is a little bit of a Hasidish pshat. My pshat was that if you learn in the morning, pas shachris means you learn, you give your soul, it's food for the soul. Learn in the morning, and it just flows right into the Gemara. We'll see now. 13 things were said about eating breakfast. It saves you from getting a cold or fever, or minazikin, from the winds, it makes the dumb smart. You'll have better, you'll be more on your game, you'll have better logic when it comes to what do you call it? A court case. Lil Torah will allow it. So over here it says Mefurish Lil Torah. So how could it be that the Pasha? Oh no, but if you learn in the morning, you do daf in the morning, then you also do Shnai Mikra, you'll do other stuff. You'll teach with Dvar Nishmar. People listen to you. You remember it. You won't sweat. You'll have desire for your wife. It'll kill the worms in your intestines. When you're relaxed and you're in a good mood, you won't be jealous, you won't be mad. It increases love. How do people know? 60 people will chase you and they won't catch up to the person, the mitzvah that eats breakfast. You see it mamish fits in. You learn Torah in the morning and nobody will catch you. You won't be hungry, you won't be thirsty, and you won't be hit by the heat from the sun. When won't they hit you? When you won't be hungry, you won't be thirsty. What does that mean, Rabbi Isai? You say from that pasuk, and I'll tell you from here. You should worship Hashem. What does that mean? You should serve Hashem by saying Shema utfilin shmoneh esrei. And therefore He'll bless your bread, your water. And after that, He'll remove diseases from within you. Ravada, the one who was a land surveyor. Don't go light on it. In other words, it's approximately 10 feet. No, be exact. This is kurkuma rishka. Saffron. One of the most expensive, if not the most expensive spice. If you have a tiny piece of land, you could grow some saffron. So here we have this picture again. This is how they used to do it. They would bring water to the fields through irrigation canals. So the private canal, the ones that are running from right to left, that you don't have to be very careful when you put that strip of grass. You see those strips of grass that are like walkways, not where it's plowed. The smooth ones are what we're talking about. So it doesn't have to be exact. You give the guy a little bit, take a little bit more from him, take whatever. It doesn't have to be exact. Why? Because the private, he'll be moichel you. Arba amos, the 4 amos, that nigra that are the private canals, zalzabu. You don't have to be so careful. Dan hara, letim shechinu klal. When it comes to the large river on the right, and that, don't stand there with a measuring tape and do exactly 4 amos. Look at it and say, oh, this is 4 amos. In other words, give it more because it's public property. Then hara letim shechinu klal. Rav Yehuda goes according to his own shita. Arba amos da nigra livnei anigra. The 4 amos that are by the private canals, that's for the private people. The anhara. But the ones on the shore of the river, the kuli alma, that belongs to everybody. Even if you have that property, it's not yours. Somebody that owns a beachfront property. People are allowed to walk down the beach. So it belongs to everybody. Here, you have these guys that are pulling the boats from the shore. So they get the width of the shoulder because they lean away from the water. So they need like a shoulder width, whatever that is, a certain amount of room you have to give them. You have to cut down the trees over there. Kutsu, you cut down the trees. Rav Nosson said, okay, let me cut down 16 amma. What's 16 amma, Rabbi Yisai? Where do we have in Shas 16 amma? Rishus Harabim. Also, alei b'nei Mashroina the Panu. The people from Mashroina came and beat him up. Who saw Rishus Harabim? He thought 16 amma is like the width of a public thoroughfare. V'loi, it's not true. When there's a public fair, you have wagons and people and merchants. You need a large area. You need a wide street. You only need it for the ropes. So the width of a shoulder, that's enough. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day. Good Shabbos. We'll do Motzei Shabbos. I'll try to come 1:45, but most likely it's going to be 10 o'clock.